Do you feel like you're repeating the same mistakes over and over again? Patterns of behavior that you don't want to repeat, but you keep doing it over and over again. Now, that could be ancestral trauma. These patterns repeat themselves, and subconsciously, we fall back on things that we have learned or that are in our family history. Maybe it's time to heal that. Maybe it's time to move on and make some progress. Maybe it's time to unlearn some of those bad habits. This is part of ancestral healing. Let's do it. All right, we're going to start with a big one. Unlearn the myth that it's all in your head. Your emotions, they're very real. How many times have you been told that either it's just your imagination or no, you're overreacting or it didn't happen that way? Well, trust yourself. We're conditioned not to trust ourselves. Many years ago, I had a medical problem. If I went to one doctor, I went to, I don't know, eight. And I was in my 20s. And the last three doctors told me that at 20 years old, I should have a hysterectomy. It's like, but I want to have a family. I want to have a life. I that wasn't in my game plan. And I really, it didn't make sense to me. And I finally asked a friend about her doctor. She referred me to this great guy. Oh my God. And he really, in the sense of helping me, he saved my life. And 20 years later, he delivered my daughter. Now, the thing he told me when I explained the situation was, I bet people are telling you this is all in your head. He ordered one simple lab test, and the results came back simple medication, boom, that was it. He said, don't trust people when they tell you it's all in your head. You know yourself, you know your body. And this is true with ancestral healing too. To get into a pattern of trusting yourself, before you go to sleep, set an intention to receive guidance about your feelings from your ancestors. They've been through all this stuff too, and they have a totally different perspective on things. Now that they're on the outside looking in, they will communicate with you. Write it down somewhere. I love my dreams, so I keep a dream journal. And if you do, I highly recommend you write down anything that you receive in that dream, whether it makes sense at the time or not. It may be something on looking back that will help you, but it's so important to know it's not all in your head. Your feelings, your emotions, they're real. So trust yourself and ask your ancestors for some help because they'll do it. They are watching out for you. They are proud of you. Very proud. Two, unlearn the idea that you must suffer alone. Now, in many families, you're not supposed to talk about how you feel, but healing is not a solo journey. It's very important to find your people who can empathize with you, the people who have similar goals to you, who want to heal, who want to improve their life here and now, and perhaps even improve the lives of their future generations. But on a day to day basis, you do not have to do it by yourself. You can find a community that's interested in ancestral healing and start by talking to people and friends and see who might be interested. This is a very important aspect of healing. When you feel isolated and you feel that nobody understands you and you feel that nobody cares about the way you feel, you tend to go inward and into your head. And as we said, you have to take care of that brain. You have to take care of your self confidence and your belief in yourself. It's very important to align yourself with people and practices that let you express yourself. And on the side of it, you have people who can answer questions that you might have. Everybody's healing journey is a little bit different because we all had different experiences. Our realities are different. But the thing you have in common is that you want to heal. You want to get rid of that baggage and move on much lighter on the rest of your journey in life. So, remember, you don't have to do this alone. Very important. Very important. All right, now we're up to number 3. Unlearn the belief that forgiveness means forgetting. Forgiveness is not about erasing the past. The expression forgive and forget, no. I had so many experiences with trying to forget what happened. It doesn't work. And it's not necessary. There are certain things that happen to you in life you will never forget, but you do the forgiveness part for yourself. So you don't have to carry that burden of remembering what's going on and what happened and kind of reliving it over and over again. It's torment. And there's enough things happening in this world that can drive you crazy. You don't need to do it to yourself. And we all do. I know I've done it too many times. The big mistake I made was not letting go, a kind of even feeling vengeful about certain things that happened. And when you get to that point, it's toxic. You know the expression, it's like drinking poison yourself. Yeah, it just distorts your whole outlook on life. It took me a long time to get to the point where I could forgive and not forget. And once you get to that point, once you're able to let that go, you will feel so much lighter. You might even feel physically lighter, but spiritually, emotionally, you will rise because all of that garbage is out of your system. The other part that you have on this is wisdom. You learned a lesson. You had an experience. That is wisdom, and wisdom enriches you. Forgiveness enriches you. It's not an easy task, but it's really important. And if you can do it, if you can, you will find that it will elevate your journey and help you with your healing and help you on your ancestral journey to wholeness. One way to do this is to write a letter to one of your ancestors expressing your feelings. It could be somebody that you knew, like a grandparent, or someone, an aunt or an uncle, or somebody that you knew who watches out for you, who watched out for you while they were here. And if you write that letter, if you put something in writing, it carries a lot of power. And if you do that, it's asking that person for help in a specific way. There's kind of an energy into putting words onto paper. And by writing that letter, you're inviting them to help you. And I recommend this. I have actually done this myself, and I have received a positive response on more than one occasion. It's worth a try. And I would hope that it would help you out. Even if you are skeptical, I would say go for it. Just go for it. Some people burn the letter after they write it. And I would do that outside if I were burning something, but with the idea that the energy will go out into the universe and your ancestors can pick it up. Whatever floats your boat, whatever works for you, I say go for it. Take a positive action and don't hesitate to forgive. Big step, but it's a giant step in the healing process. I wish you good luck with it. Here we go. Number 4, unlearn the notion of being strong all the time. Showing vulnerability is not a weakness. I consider it a strength myself, but yeah, it's not easy today because you need to be strong in the world we live in, don't you? It's kind of crazy lately. But anyway, one way to compensate for this is to create a ritual for emotional release. But what does it really mean to be vulnerable? One of the strongest people I knew in my life was my dad. He was a World War II vet. In fact, he was in the Army. He was just about ready to be discharged from the Army and marry my mom when World War II broke out. There were 4 months before he was scheduled to finish his stint. So, yeah, that was another 4 years for World War II. And as any vet will tell you from any war, he saw a lot. He didn't talk about what he saw with us. He kept a lot inside because, yeah, he was strong. But his vulnerability, we were his vulnerability, his family. We were everything to him. And my mom was very sick one summer. She almost died, and she was hospitalized for a few weeks. Now, he had to go to work and take care of us and take care of my mom at the same time. Now, I was about 8 years old, and I was responsible for the usual household chores that kids are responsible for. But he asked for extra help, with taking care of the kids. And my sister was little. I remember she was in a carriage. We were kind of rolling around the neighborhood. And we were Catholic growing up. And she told me, she said, I said a prayer to the Blessed Mother. And I said, oh, you did? She said, yes. She said, I prayed for 2 things, that mom would come home today and that we would see a rainbow. And I said, those are beautiful prayers. And I hope that both of those prayers are answered. Not 5 minutes later, we're walking back home and we see a rainbow. And she points to the rainbow and she's like, oh, Mom's coming home. I said, well, maybe, I said, that's really something. And I was very impressed. And when we did get home, my father was really excited. And he told us that indeed my mom was coming home, that somebody was her roommate in the hospital was being discharged, and they were going to be giving her a ride home. She was allowed to be discharged too. My sister, wowzer. But my father's vulnerability with us there came about because on that same day, earlier in the day, a neighbor stopped me and was asking about my mother. And she said, well, she's probably not going to be coming home because she's very sick. And when I went back home to tell my dad what she said, he sat me down and look, he said, people sometimes don't think before they talk. And I know that your mom is going to be coming home real soon. Yes, she was very sick, but don't worry, she's going to be coming home and we're going to be all one family again. And lo and behold, this is exactly what happened. It sounds like something from a miniseries, but it's a true story. His vulnerability with us was he loved us so much that we were always his top priority, and we knew it. He went to work every day, and every morning he would get up, and I would get up to have breakfast with him. And this is what breakfast consisted of. It was toast and what we would call today a latte. And this was the morning conversation. Good morning. How are you? Good. How are you? Good. And that was it. It was nothing. And to this day, I am not a morning person. That would be my morning ritual, pretty much. I still have my coffee to this day. Someone who has inner strength also can have that vulnerability. This part of them that is open, that is accessible. And it's a very important part because to me, that vulnerability was his strength. And he was like that with every member of the family. That was really who he was. If you have trouble for emotional release, if you have trouble being vulnerable, try meditation. I know it works for me, and it sounds a little corny if you haven't tried it. But if you try it, if you give yourself a little time to go inward and just reflect, relax, let go of all of the defenses that you have just for you. Just do it for you in your own time. There are guided meditations that can help you get there. There are lots of ways you can do it. You know, the cliche of walk in nature, there's a reason it's a cliche because it does work. If you can get out and go for a walk, even if it's for a walk around the block, just to get a change of pace, to let yourself gear down a little bit, that is something that is helpful. But if you can make a ritual of it, if you can have something, words that you say or certain things that you do, it will help you get into that space even faster. So give it a try and don't be afraid to be vulnerable. You'll find you have more strength in your vulnerability than you ever realized. I promise. We're up to 5. Unlearn the idea that healing is a linear process. The ancestral healing journey, like life, is a roller coaster. When I started to get interested in ancestral healing, my whole idea was I want to become a healthy ancestor so that my future generations, my daughter, my granddaughters, and hopefully their children will have a positive, healthy influence on the generational line. Now, as far as I know, most of my relatives were pretty cool, but I didn't know that much about them. But I thought, well, this is where I start. You start with yourself. You know, you have no control over what happened or what's going to happen, but hey, you start with you. That was my thinking. Now, not too long after I decided to start investigating my ancestors and ancestral healing and ancestral trauma and everything that goes along with it, I'd done a genealogy test with Ancestry I sent my DNA in many years ago, maybe 5 or 6, I guess, I'm thinking. And they update it. They update it when, as their technology improves, you get more information. So you find out a little bit more about here and there. And I was told growing up that I was Irish, German, and Spanish ancestry. Basically, those were the three. And my dad is Spanish. My mom was the Irish and German. Her mom's Irish, and her father was from Germany. And when I got my test back, there was no German DNA. And I thought, well, that's odd. But it didn't, like right over my head. And there was Irish and Spanish and, Welsh, I think, and a few other things mixed in there. Oh, and North African. I thought that was really interesting. So, flash forward a few years ago, maybe 3, I received an update on my DNA report and there was Italian ancestry in there. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's something with the Spanish. But then they kind of updated it to an area of Italy, and I knew that area of Italy, but not from my father's side of the family. And anyway, long story short, I know who that person is, and now I know why I don't have German DNA. And to say that that was a shock to my system is an understatement of the year. Because when you're like 70 years old and you find out that genetically you're not who you thought you were, it kind of knocks your socks off. So the ancestral healing journey is a roller coaster. And you have to be prepared for these interesting surprises, things that can happen as you go along. I calmed myself down, and I'm in a really good place about everything now. I'm good, but it took a while. And I do use my dreams. I use my dreams to talk to my ancestors, to ask questions, to get answers. That is my jam. I love dreams because they've always worked for me since childhood. So I'm tuned into that. I'm tuned into those things that work for me. I use other things in divination too, but dreams are my thing. And here's the thing. Any type of healing, whether it's physical healing, spiritual healing, ancestral healing, is going to be up and down. It's going to be filled with surprises, sometimes shocking surprises, but it's that's life. This is what keeps things from getting boring. And I mean, some people are telling me it would be good if things were a little bit more boring right now, but it is life. It is the experience of being here and being here now. And healing takes time. It goes up and down. I would suggest using your dreams by asking for help, asking for information, and be tuned in for signs and symbols and things that, even names of places. If you write things down in dreams that stand out to you, and when you go back and review them, you would be surprised how many things fall into place, how many synchronicities you find. And you may find some answers to questions that you've had because your ancestors are always there for you. They are right behind you. They are wanting you to succeed. You are their investment in the future, and seeing you successful and happy is what they want for you. It's what they've always wanted for you. It's what you would want for your future generations. So check out your dreams. Keep a dream journal. You could even dictate into your phone if you don't want to write things down. But be sure to go back and review things. That's why a dream journal is awesome, because you can go back and kind of reference things. I love to analyze things. And when you analyze those certain aspects in your dreams, you'll find a wealth of information. So, yeah, be patient with yourself and enjoy the roller coaster ride because we're all on it together. And please heal with a positive attitude. Whatever you find out, just enjoy it. It takes a little time to enjoy some things, but really try to enjoy the adventure. It's so worth it. Which unlearn hit home with you? Which one kind of made you say, aha? Let me know down in the comments. And if you have any questions about any of them, please let me know. I'll be happy to help out and answer. Uh, Here's the list. Unlearn the myth of it's just in your head. Unlearn the idea that you must suffer alone. No. Unlearn the belief that forgiveness means forgetting. Mm-mm. Unlearn the notion of being strong all the time. And unlearn the idea that the healing process is a linear process. It is certainly not. Now, there may be another video that might answer some more of your questions up above here. And I hope that this helped you. I am very happy to spend this time with you. This is Vicki Trancho saying thank you, and hopefully I will see you soon.